Okay, this is one thing I don't understand, guys. Okay, so shout out to Darksiders. This is what was this one again? I'm sorry. Oh, please check out Christina Grimmie. True legend. True legend. New album came out. I believe it was yesterday. I would say that part of the reason why I take my YouTube channel seriously was because of her, because of just seeing someone that was so amazing that was taken away from us. Really, I learned about her after she had already left, passed. So, but I'm grateful I was able to go to, it was Orlando. I saw Dabin at the same venue where she was tragically taken from us. And so I'm grateful I had that experience to say goodbye. Thank you to you, Christina Grimmie, for being an amazing inspiration. I'm listening to the album now. I would have to say that the Nintendo Switch really is, in my opinion, just the all around. Okay, so this is not a recommendation, guys. Please make decisions at your own discretion. Do your own research, please. But Nintendo, I mean, as a company, think of the stock how it's trading. Like if I was in, having two kids and just the expenses of that lifestyle, like, puts me in a different position. But before I had children, all I'm saying is, again, this is not a recommendation, but I do appreciate being able to just find a company that you believe in, and then maybe being able to buy, like, on a daily basis, because to some people, $10 a day isn't a big investment. Some people spend $10, like on, I don't know, just a snack or a treat for themselves. So all I'm saying is, if you find a company that you believe in, and then just every day, buy one share of that company, over the span of 10, 15, 20 years, you'd be amazed at, what you're able to accomplish. So all I'm saying is I'm doing that with a smaller company. That's not a recommendation. I'm just saying, I gauged it to what my abilities are. So if you could find it, I'm just saying in my situation, if I find a company that's, trading at like a dollar something, just an example, like, so a lot of people use GoPros. GoPro, last time I looked, I think it was at 70 cents. So I'm just saying, if you every day took it upon yourself, maybe on a monthly basis, you say, look, I'm going to put aside $30 in my, for example, Robinhood. But I know there's a lot of different apps out there, and then on a daily basis, buy a share of the company that you believe in. Over the course of, 15, 20 years, I think you'll be in a good position financially. That's just my recommendation. As far as that, I mean, that, don't take that and then just, like, think that you can be careless in the other aspects of finances. It's not going to balance out. So that's just one thing that I think everyone can do that will help you over the course of your lifetime. But Darksiders was my first physical game that I purchased on the Nintendo Switch. And I'm very, very excited, guys, for the Nintendo Switch releasing in India, guys. India! So I want to know which YouTubers out there are going to be in India. But the point of this was, I was trying to show, I was like, look, okay, so now that I have two Xboxes, I think I'm like really cool. No, but I'm like testing, I'm like, look, I wanted to watch the credits to one. I wanted to watch the credits to this, and then on the other Xbox play like a game, just like a game that I have, and be like, look, why can't I watch the credits of some, and then, play a game? But I couldn't do that because, see, I'm logged in to both, and, I can't. Apparently watching the credits is playing the game, and I say to myself, well, gosh, if I have two TVs, I could have two TVs playing at the same time in my house because I own them. But then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, did I ever really own any of these consoles? No, because that's kind of like frustrating to me. I'm like, wait, so you're saying I can't, Asha, I hope maybe I could see you in India for the release of the Nintendo Switch. I'm hoping that maybe it'll be like a joint launch where they like launch the Nintendo Switch 2 OLED and the Nintendo Switch in India. No, the two. No, but I think it'll be interesting. I'm like, how is Nintendo going to do this? But I am very excited for the Nintendo Switch launch in India. I believe that happens, or it's beginning in March of next year. I'm very excited. I think I got to get my passport updated. And yeah, I think it'd be sweet to be there. I don't know what YouTubers will be there. But other things that I wanted to bring here. No, so that is concerning that I can't, watch the credits of a game while I'm playing a different game. Because, look, if I have, what, I mean, I don't understand. I have to log in as someone else. Thank you, Asha. I just felt like, there's little things. I'm like, look, I think we can all improve. But I'm like, if I own this, why can't I play? Technically, I have two hands. I have a controller in each hand. Why can't I play two Series X's and two different games at the same time? Huh? Okay, I know I'm being silly, but I that is kind of like going down the thought process of when do you really own something, and when is it really just kind of like you're asking permission to use this beautiful hardware. But now I have some ideas that I'm kind of going over in my head. 1 year now, it's official. 1 year with an Ioniq 5 electric car, but I don't really hear people talking about certain things. So I want to bring up. I'm like, I do love e-pedal because it reminds me of riding a fixed gear bicycle. I don't know if anyone out there who rides fixed gear bicycles, but it makes sense in my head. I'm like, when I start pressing the gas pedal, the car is stopped. So when I release my foot off of the gas pedal, the car should be stopped. I'm saying like the whole thought process, right? The same with the fixed gear bike. As I start to pedal, the bicycle starts to move. And then as I slowly, all I'm saying is I feel like it's really cool to not have to ever use the brakes. I hope that electric motorcycles kind of lean into that enjoyment, because, at first I think electric motorcycles, they're not going to have the range. It's going to be, I feel like it's going to be more for stunting, like a stunt electric motorcycle. And I do think that fixed gear bicycles are great for doing that kind of maneuvering parkour stuff. So I do think that electric motorcycles will have a really cool advantage when it comes to that type of riding, because on a gas powered, an ICE motorcycle, you don't have the ability to do that. And the same thing with the gas powered car. Yeah, it's cool. Like it's similar to like a manual transmission. I do appreciate being able to drive a car with a manual transmission. I'm excited. I'm hoping I can talk my wife into letting me get the Xbox, the wheel with the shifter and the pedals. I'm really excited for that. So that's where I'm like, maybe my driving has slowly migrated towards driving, but like simulation driving, like on a screen, which is fine, because I'm like, look, driving a car in real life is actually really expensive regardless, guys. Now we're finally getting back into this, and when people say gaming is getting it, well, think about it. Like when I got my first computer, guys, back in the 90s, it was $2,500. Shout out to whoever's using my Macintosh 2VX. But I think, there was just this brief point in history, time when, like computer hardware was just like had been cheap. But I think the reality is it's going back to where it was, really expensive. I mean, back in the 90s, $2,500, gosh, to equivalent to today, in my opinion, that's probably like almost 10 grand. So I really do think that even at $1,000, a lot of the hardware that people are looking at and saying, oh my gosh, this is too expensive, I think in a few years they're going to realize that no, even at $1,000, that's still pretty cheap when you take into consideration all the militaries out there that are going to start producing a lot of similar equipment for the protection of their homeland, yeah, everything's going to get expensive. So, but back to the electric cars. So I do think the motorcycles should be. I would love to see that Honda, that electric motorcycle. I mean, like as a like a fixed gear equivalent. No, I think people. That's what I'm saying. Now that I've been driving an electric car for a year, I'm like used to it. Like now, I don't know if I could go back. To be honest with you, having the thought of having to go to the gas station. Okay, there. That was the credits, Asha. Why couldn't I be playing a video game on my other Xbox while I was watching the credits on my new Xbox? But no, this is a new chapter in my life where I'm grateful to say that the first physical game that I bought on the Switch, I'm now playing digitally on the Xbox Series X. And I think that's a very cool thing that finally has occurred for me. It only took 7 years, 8 years. How long has the Switch been out, guys? No, but seriously, thank you. We all travel at our own pace, in life. I think, and I think, having resources to be able to spend to gain knowledge and experiences does help you. But I think, I think at the end of the day, everyone can have a certain amount of success and be satisfied and proud of what they've accomplished. So thank you guys for allowing me to be here on YouTube. I like to end with that. And I say I'm grateful that I'm able to have a voice and speak and see and hear and talk and move, and people that care about me and having the ability to care about others. So thank you guys. Have a blessed day. Please check out Chris Grimmy's new album, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, but only if you're capable of doing so physically and mentally. I am very much aware that I think we all do have mental blocks, barriers, hurdles that must be overcome just for your own personal growth and freedom. I think freedom really is limited by your ability to grow as a human being. Thank you. I love you.